3 days of mourning have begun in Spain following a terror attack in Barcelona. A truck plowed through a popular pedestrian area there Thursday, killing at least 13 people and injuring 100 others, including an American. Police were able to thwart a second attack in a seaside town south of Barcelona. They shot and killed 5 alleged terror suspects there. Back in the States, backlash to President Trump's comments blaming both sides for the violence in Charlottesville has resulted in the abandonment of a third advisory council. The White House scrapped plans for an infrastructure panel. A series of CEOs bailed on 2 other advisory councils following the president's remarks. He has also received blowback from lawmakers in his own party. Continuing our coverage, city crews began the process of removing Helena's Confederate Memorial Fountain. Water has been shut off to the memorial. Parks and Recreation also removed the brass dome from the fountain to get a better look at how to dismantle it. Right now, there is no timeline as to when the fountain will be removed. The city is still determining whether to use its own crews or bring in a private contractor to remove the fountain. On Thursday, bystanders could be seen taking pictures and rubs of its inscriptions. Multiple Helena city leaders said the memorial needed to go because of its symbolism and because they feared it could prompt violent clashes in the community. One Helena resident was brought to tears by the news.
It means so much that this was something so unique to Helena itself. And it's for veterans, and that's one thing that's a veterans. What else goes with it?
A city engineer told MTN the memorial will be preserved, but where it ends up and what might replace it is still undecided. Meanwhile, in court news, a Billings area man admits he stabbed, beat, and ran over a woman in Glasgow on New Year's Eve. 29-year-old Jay Witkowski pleaded guilty Wednesday to deliberate homicide for the murder of Evelyn Garcia. In a plea agreement released on Thursday morning, prosecutors will recommend a sentence of 80 years in prison. Court documents state Witkowski was giving the victim a ride from Billings to Glasgow when he repeatedly stabbed and beat Garcia with a tire iron. Investigators say the victim either jumped from the vehicle or was pushed out. Witkowski then ran over Garcia before fleeing the scene. Prosecutors say Witkowski was likely high on methamphetamine at the time. A passerby spotted Garcia in the road and called for help. She was hospitalized but died 3 days later. Witkowski has been at the Valley County Jail since his arrest in January. Switching gears, now we go to Montana Fair, where roping, barrel racing, steer wrestling, and riding is all underway. The first day of the Yellowstone River Roundup PRCA Rodeo kicked off Thursday at the fair. Fans will pack the stands again tonight and tomorrow. Several years ago, the Montana Fair Rodeo was just beginning. Top talent did not make the trip to Billings until the Cowboy Club stepped in. Now, if you take a look at the contestant list, you'll find multiple world champions in every event. A purse over $135,000 is up for grabs, and more than 500 cowboys are scheduled to compete, making it one of the top 40 rodeos in the United States. Each performance begins at 7 o'clock in the Northern Hotel grandstands. Tickets are $28 for premium seats, $25 for reserved seating, and general admission is $18. Kids 12 and under have a special $14 general admission. Fair admission is included with the purchase of a rodeo ticket. They can be purchased online, over the phone, or at the box office. Well, now we go near Cut Bank to wrap up this morning's news, where stories of the past are coming alive through cars. As MTN's Shannon Newth shows us, 3 friends and avid car guys are doing the hard work of sorting and preparing hundreds of historic vehicles for auction.
Nestled just miles from Glacier National Park is a field full of vehicles. The metal, wheels, and parts are much more than just a salvage yard.
It's a big job.
This is Rustless in Montana.
It's a lot of work, a lot of time invested, a lot of money.
We found lots of treasures.
If these cars could talk and tell their stories, that would be fantastic.
3 self-proclaimed car guys are partners in a journey through history as seen from the driver's seat.
And then phone 4. So there must have been only like 100 phone numbers around.
David Bell, Shane Hagley, and Merle Shortman pooled their years of knowledge, experience, and resources to liquidate the inventory of the long-standing salvage and wreckage yard owned by Jim and Joanne Printy. Health issues prompted the Printys to sell inventory they'd gathered since the 1960s.
At first, we worked probably 7 weeks straight. No weekends off, no nothing.
Hundreds of vehicles are now going to auction thanks to hundreds of hours of work.
We want to find people that can use this stuff and preserve history.
Years that are all just vary from the early 17s, some of the 20s. We have about anything anybody can imagine that might be wanting to be looked at. We have a museum, but it's for sale.
Oh, salmon eyes. Furniture polish. Cool.
Each vehicle has a story, a piece of history it represents.
To early 50s.
From buses to cars and even gas pumps, this field has provided the grounds for a treasure hunt and unique mysteries from decades past.
What the heck is that car? And anyhow, it turns out it's a 1967 Fiat 500. The more we looked at that car, that's going to turn out to be one of our prize cars, I think. The most interesting pieces we found is this 1954 Pontiac motorhome.
While preparing the yard for auction means some cars have needed to be crushed, scrap metal and parts from those will be sold, helping preserve history in other vehicles.
38 T127 Montana 57.
Inspiring nostalgia, Rustless in Montana provides an intriguing opportunity for discovery for antique, history, and car lovers alike. Near Cutbank, Shannon Newth, MTN News.
Car collectors and enthusiasts from across the country are expected to head to Cut Bank for the Rustless in Montana auction that starts at 9 a.m. on Saturday, August 26th.